Players faking injuries, fans shining lasers in players' eyes, coaches trying to cheat, and moments of players caught on camera cheating. Dwight Howard was once caught putting glue on his hands. Howard put glue on his hands and grabbed the ball. He did this so that opposing player Paul Millsap would miss his shot. When Millsap realized something was wrong with the ball, he handed it to the referee. "I've never felt the ball like that. I couldn't get it out of my hand. It was like Japanese glue," he said. Howard's coach, meanwhile, was trying to get the boxes of glue and put them away. Although this minor incident was covered up by the replacement of the ball, there has been cheating going on here for years. NBA management has explicitly banned stickum, an adhesive that increases ball grip, but Howard admitted to using it for 5 years. The NBA did not penalize the player despite the clear ban. In the 2022-23 season, during the game between Chicago and Toronto, Bulls player DeMar DeRozan's daughter Dyer watched the game as a spectator in the stands. Before the game, she begged her father to take her along, and he obviously had a plan. Dyer, 9 years old, screamed the entire game to help her father's team. The little girl started screaming every time the opposing team made a free throw. Her screams were even heard on the television. Interestingly, it really worked. Toronto was a 78% free throw shooting team for the season, but in that game they attempted 36 free throws and missed 18. A 50% free throw rate was absolutely unheard of. But afterwards, Toronto security reportedly threatened to eject the child from the court. The little girl was also banned from the next Chicago Bulls game, but she got what she wanted and her father won the game. Rajon Rondo is a two-time NBA champion and one of the best passers of the last decade. He is also a dangerous man who has used many tricks to knock his opponents out of the game. One of his tricks was caught on camera while playing against Golden State in 2018. In the last minutes of the game, Draymond Green came to the line for a free throw. Rondo's team was down by 6 points against Golden State. Rondo felt he had to do something to save his team, so he grabbed the ball and started wiping the sweat off his face before Green shot the free throw. He wiped his sweat on the ball in front of the referee so that the ball would slip and Green would miss the shot, but it didn't work. Green made the free throw and Golden State won the game. Speaking of Draymond Green, he's just as prone to this as Rondo. We're used to his fights on the court. He went as far as punching his teammate in practice. Even though it wasn't as scary as these, he once got in the middle of the opposing team and listened to their tactics. When they were down by 1 point with 20 seconds left in the game against Sacramento, he pushed Sabonis backwards and knocked him down as he tried to box out. In this way, he drove Sabonis away in the last seconds of the game. Jason Kidd was one of the greatest point guards to ever play in the NBA, but that didn't stop him from cheating. In the final moments of the Brooklyn Nets-Lakers game, Kidd's Nets were down by 2 points. Jason Kidd felt he had to make a coaching decision, but he had no timeouts left. Kidd, who had just started his coaching career, came up with a plan that could be considered a trick. His team's player Taylor hit his coach who had water in his hand. Water spilled on the floor. The game stopped and Jason Kidd, who had no timeouts left, started to give tactics to his team while the teams were cleaning the floor. The incident did not happen by chance or randomly as described. A few seconds before the collision, Jason Kidd told his team's player to bump into him. This way, when water spilled on the floor, the game would stop and he could take advantage of it to give tactics to his team. Even though Jason Kidd's plan worked for the moment, the NBA fined the coach $50,000 for the deliberate action. Even though he gave tactics, the outcome of the game did not end the way he wanted and his team was defeated. In short, he got what he was fined for. As talented a player as J.R. Smith is, his place in people's eyes changed after this moment. In the first game of the 2018 Finals, he drove Cleveland fans crazy when he couldn't take the last offense with the game tied. Looking closely, LeBron suffered a lot from this guy. Smith was once the victim of a cheat. In 2016, when opposing player Jason Terry saw Smith on the court, he stood up to say hello and Smith went over and hugged Terry. JR actually left the game and went to say hello to his friend, and when the player he was supposed to defend was free, Terry saluted and scored 2 points for his team. Even the dunk contest was rigged. Baron Davis was going to attempt a blindfolded dunk in 2001. He put on a blindfold to attempt this ambitious dunk, but the problem was that the bandana he wrapped around his eyes had holes in it so he could see through it. To make Davis attempt to cheat even worse, Davis threw down the first airball dunk in history. Even though he could see in front of him, he couldn't make the dunk, making for a comical sight. One of the most common tricks used by players is to throw themselves on the floor. Players like Jokic and LaMelo also do it, but LeBron James is the only one who has earned the nickname LeFlop. At the top of our cheating queue is Zaza Pachulia. In this moment, Zaza fooled not only his opponent but also his fans. The San Antonio Spurs were a threat to Golden State's title in the 2017 Western Conference Finals. Led by Kawhi Leonard, San Antonio showed its superiority over Golden State in the first game of the series. In the third quarter, the difference reached up to 25 points. Then, in the middle of the third period, when the Warriors were down by 20 points, Zaza made an injury-causing tackle on Leonard during a three-point shot, and it was successful. From that moment on, Leonard was unable to play the rest of the series. Afterwards, the NBA investigated this position. Although no sanctions were imposed on Zaza, a rule known as the Zaza rule was added after this moment. No longer could a defensive player's foot be inside the offensive player's landing circle. The Spurs coach called the incident dangerous and unsportsmanlike. Zaza, for his part, said Ben had no malicious intent, but when the position was viewed from different angles, the foul was intentional and deceived the players, the referee, and the fans by pretending it wasn't intentional. These were some of the players caught cheating. So we have come to the end of our video. If you have watched and liked our video so far, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye to see you in another video.